It's that time of year again where, unfortunately, I have to break some unfortunate news to all of you. Though old St. Nicholas is back, I can't cover the Game Awards this year. I just have too much on my plate. I got 2 albums coming out. If y'all didn't know, I'm a musician. I got 2 albums coming out. And then on top of that, I'm also doing normal work stuff and other real life stuff on top of doing YouTube. So it's just not possible for me to get the Game Awards in. But if you want the Cliff Notes, basically, Clear Obscure Expedition 33, complete sweep, landslide, wasn't even close. Otherwise throughout there were a few games that were announced that I did like, of course Resident Evil 9, but otherwise there just really wasn't much for me. I gotta say, this is probably one of the weaker years for Game Awards for me personally, but that's not even why I'm here today. As my jolly gift to all of you, and kind of an I'm sorry for not being able to do the Game Awards this year, I am revealing a secondary sister series to Retro Reviews. This is Killer or Filler. Whereas Retro Review focuses on all of the mainline games that have been out for ample time to have their considerable updates, Killer or Filler is focused on the spin-off games of the now. For example, if Super Mario Odyssey is considered the mainline game, then that means all of the Mario sports games and Mario Kart and the such like that would be considered the spin-offs. Given their nature of a lack of storyline and relative ease, these videos will be a bit shorter, as well as not having to go through the entire process of the full Retro Review double rating system and all of that stuff. No, instead, I'm just going to focus on 2 things. Is the game killer or is the game filler? The criteria for a killer game is just something that is a must-have or a definitely add to the collection, whereas filler is something you can pretty comfortably pass by, or at the very least wait for a price change. Along with those categories, I'm going to be adding some small details just to kind of fill in some extra points that I wanted to talk about, and if a game is filler, why is it filler, and if it is filler, is it still kind of a good game? My goal is that hopefully some of these details will help you to determine whether or not the game that I'm talking about is right for you. And of course, as the title suggests, on the chopping block for today is Mario Kart World. Nintendo does a damn good job at making first impressions with Mario Kart. They have a great track record with improving on everything that was missing in the last entry for their subsequent games. However, I think this is a point where Nintendo has started to step backwards a little, and their ambition and creativity has started to dry up. Let's get into it. Mario Kart World, the 10th Mario Kart game, is a charming little entry in the overall Mario Kart series, and brings a few new elements to the table, including wall riding, rail grinding, and transforming karts to make races feel more dynamic and interesting. The cast is decently vast, even including characters nobody ever expected to be driving a kart, like a Goomba, Koopa Troopa, and even the cow from Moo Moo Meadows. The game also adds charming alternate costumes that can be obtained by exploring the open world and eating various worldwide dishes at Yoshi drive-thrus. Unfortunately, though, they don't include costumes for every character, and that is the most amount of customization that you'll get here, because they also removed the ability to change each component of the karts themselves, meaning whichever kart you get has specific stats that only slightly change depending on your character's weight class. The game's big selling point is the expansive world, wherein after completing the first race in a Grand Prix, you then take 2 of your next race's laps and apply them to driving from the first racetrack to the next, bringing with it a healthy amount of hijinks. While this is a cool element, it can be difficult to understand each track on your first time playing, and you don't get the chance to really learn the layout of the next racetrack because by the time you arrive, you're already on your 3rd lap. Outside of the normal Grand Prix races lies the open world, which is filled with little cute references, puzzles, and mildly entertaining challenges to test your skills. It's a great system that can get you used to some of the new mechanics in this game, like the vehicle's charge up, which looks like a drift but isn't, the jump feature, and then the wall riding and rail grinding features. At the upper echelon, chaining these techniques together can make the game feel fast and frantic, while still giving you a certain practicable level of control. Even though it seems as though 200cc has been cut from the levels of speed, sometimes getting better at combining these skills you learn through the open world can help the game feel faster. That said, once you've completed a few of these challenges, the variation between challenges becomes less and less apparent, and you can only drive so much before you'll ultimately find yourself wanting more and being unable to obtain it. The open world has such interesting set pieces, but honestly, I wish there was a way I could interact with all the elements outside of my vehicle. For the kind of charm this game has, it really bums me out that we're confined to our carts. But who's to say we won't get some other open world 3D Mario game in the near future? I digress. Battle mode makes a comeback with both new and reference tracks, and even adopts the new items into the foray. Sad to say though, Balloon Battle and Coin Runners are the only battle modes, which is a noticeable step down from Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, especially when you factor in that even the DLC maps aren't here either. Worse still, the amount of control and customization, like the ability to change the length of time each round plays out for, are completely absent as of yet. These make for an incredibly hollow feeling battle mode, especially when we've already been spoiled on it before. The only other mode we have, aside from an unlockable mirror mode, which just flips the tracks like it always has, is the Knockout Tour, otherwise known as Elimination Races, wherein you essentially drive from one end of the world to the other, and at every major checkpoint, if you're not in a high enough position in the race, you get eliminated, all the way down until the last 3 racers remain, fighting for first place. It's a fun little mode that can make for some hectic times, but overall, once the pack thins out, it becomes increasingly more difficult for first place to be overtaken, and increasingly easier for first place to get away from the pack. The item selection is greatly refined in some ways and expanded in others. We have straight up new inclusions like the Ice Flower and Hammer Bros hammers, but then also returning items like the Mega Mushroom. Items now also automatically assume their defensive position. This is great for those who aren't quite used to how Mario Kart works, and can be a great way to teach newcomers of the Switch 2 how to use items to your advantage and practice holding on to items that could protect you. Plus, for veterans, this frees up a finger on the controller, which is always welcome. I think this is one of the few net positives about this game. Considering the new wall riding, you may have clued into the absence of the zero gravity mechanic from Mario Kart 8. To Mario Kart World's defense, there was a legitimate concern for a minority of people who actually did experience some levels of dizziness and confusion playing Mario Kart 8, when characters would start to ride on the walls and such, as dynamic camera angles could make racing difficult for those individuals. But at the same time, the exclusion of the zero gravity mechanic I think fundamentally restricted the full potential of these tracks, and overall contributed to the safety and lack of creative track design for Mario Kart World. Because of that, quite a few tracks feel unfinished or short, which means the player retention is also short. Though the details and extras that you can find hidden in these tracks is really something else. I was ecstatic the first time I saw Nabbit running around in the open world, and found out he even has a little hideout where he planned some of his heists for later. Even outside of that, track details like signs and billboards, as well as road signs, warning signs, and small world-inclusive details like Koopas and Shy Guys driving and even parking and exiting their cars were a wild thing to see in action. Of course, since they're not essential, the animations of some of these details is a little lackluster, but a welcome addition nonetheless. Mario Kart World is a decent entry in the Mario Kart series, boasting stylistically impressive visuals and the frantic fun we're used to in other Mario Kart games, but only really sells in its potential with regard to how the Switch 2 can handle larger scale games. Especially compared to Mario Kart 8, Mario Kart World feels a little lacking and underwhelming, considering we got twice as many raceable tracks, a dedicated battle mode with unique tracks, amiibo costumes, and DLC characters and racetracks for the same overall price as Mario Kart World's $80 price tag. That said, Mario Kart did win Best Racer for 2025 at the Game Awards this year, but I would mostly attribute that to its ease of use and accessibility. While Kirby Air Riders and Sonic Racing Cross Worlds are innovative in concept, any notable deviation from Mario Kart makes them less accessible, which I think gives Mario Kart World the edge. That said, I'm willing to bet most of us who already have the game weren't fiending over store shelves waiting to get a copy. We just got it bundled with the Switch 2 because of convenience. It's not something I would consider a system seller, and I think overall the game has fallen just short of the bar, whereas Mario Kart has a strong history of setting the bar. Mario Kart World is a safe and accessible, yet creatively strained and subpar racing game, in my opinion, and it does not warrant its price tag. Given its current price of $80, I would consider this an objectively good filler game, not a killer, in my opinion. If the price were more reasonable, like around $50 or $60, I might be willing to revisit it and give it a little bit more consideration, but for right now, that's where it sits for me. If you've already experienced Mario Kart World, let your boy know what you thought about it, and if my assessment was pretty fair for you. And with that said, I'm gone.